Hello, everyone. I'm Emily.
And I'm Hannah.
And we are the hosts of the I Don't Think So podcast. Each episode, we discuss a different story, theory, or mystery and decide if we think it's believable or if we really don't think so.
Here at the I Don't Think So podcast, we are affiliated with Flurry Sports, and we present our theories on your favorite places to listen to podcasts every Wednesday. If you like what you hear, definitely give us a like and share and follow us on all of our socials at I Don't Think So _EH. Or check out our YouTube, IDTS Conspiracies.
Woo! Yeah. Wherever you like to listen to us, maybe you have us on in the background, or you're cleaning, or you're driving, or who knows what you're doing.
On your way to work, you're taking a shower.
What a sultry voice for you to listen to while you scrub a dub-dub.
You're welcome.
Can't wait to help you there. So we are still on our cryptids kick this month.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was looking up cryptids, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do another like Wisconsin cryptid like Hannah did. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. Or if I was thinking maybe we could do a little bit more well-known cryptid this time. Not Bigfoot.
We've been holding out on everyone.
We've been holding out all the requests we get for Bigfoot. Nay. No. Today?
Not yet.
No, why would I? That's going to be like a long episode because there's so much Bigfoot
We have to
stuff.
do multiple parts.
Yeah. But today, Hannah, I wanted to talk to you about Mothman.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I've heard about Mothman before.
I hadn't heard about Mothman until like probably high school, which
I feel like I
Yeah.
didn't really learn about most cryptids until I was in high school.
I feel like Bigfoot was around, but it was always like kind of a joke.
I think, yeah, I guess I don't know. I feel like I was sheltered, but not like purposely sheltered. I was just like clueless on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like probably middle school I realized about Bigfoot. Like it was too old.
Everyone's like, what do you mean? Excuse me, as I yawn. My brother was always compared to Bigfoot because he was tall and had big feet.
Sure.
So I think that's probably like part of it, where it partially came from. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the history of Mothman. And Mothman's a sighting that like is, or cryptid that is still like cited today. There are like, he appears in a bunch of like video games, in movies, as well as there's a board game called Horrified, where he's
Ooh.
one of the main characters that you have to like battle
Defeat, yeah.
or defend or whatever you got to do with him. So let's start a little bit about the history of Mothman. So Mothman dates back to 1966. On November 15th, a young couple from Point Pleasant, which is in West Virginia.
I was gonna say, wasn't it like in West Virginia? I thought I knew that.
Mountain Mama, take me home.
On
Anyway,
the Appalachian Trail or
there's
whatever.
some shit out in the Appalachian Mountains that I don't even want to know.
Mm-mm.
Really? I don't. But this young couple named Roger and Linda Scarberry and another couple, Steve and Mary Mayette, told police they had seen a large black creature whose eyes glowed red, standing at the site of the road near, quote, the TNT area. The TNT area is a site of a former World War II mutations. Not what it was called. So sorry. My brain went. It was a World War II munitions plant. So Linda Scarberry described it as a slender, muscular man, about 7 feet tall with white wings, and said that she was unable to discern its face due to a hypnotic effect of its eyes.
Ooh.
Distressed, the witnesses drove away at a high speed and said that the creature flew after their car, making a screeching sound. It pursued them as far as the Point Pleasant city limits. I'm fucking telling you.
I would
Shit myself.
Again, we talked about this, I think, last week with like the cryptids too. If like you saw something and you're trying to tell people like this thing followed me making a screeching noise, I would never recover.
And everyone goes, okay, liar.
Yeah.
Like, why are you making this up for attention? Do you think this
And
is
you're
the
like
kind of
emotionally
attention?
irregular. Right?
This is the kind of attention I want?
No.
No.
God.
Jeez Louise. So during the next few days, other people reported very similar sightings. After a local newspaper reported it, 2 volunteer firemen who saw it said it was a large bird with red eyes. Mason County Sheriff George Johnson commented that he believed the sightings were due to an unusually large heron. He termed it shitepoke. Shitepoke. Yeah, shitty poke.
Okay.
Shitty pokey. Could have Googled it, didn't. What are you going to do?
That's okay.
Contractor Newell Partridge told Johnson that when he aimed a flashlight at a creature in a nearby field, its eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors. Which to me, don't they all?
I would think so. Well, and bicycle reflectors don't necessarily
Aren't always
reflect red, right?
Not always. Some of them
Aren't they
reflect
usually white? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like a lime.
Yeah, I don't know. And also, like, animals have a structure in their eye called a lumen, which reflects light.
Like, yeah, and that's why, like, when you're driving by.
I'm not trying to debunk this already, but listen here, Partridge. Not a good account.
No.
Additionally, he blamed buzzing noises from his television set and the disappearance of his German Shepherd dog on this creature.
Jeez.
I feel a little bad for him, though.
For the dog,
Me
yeah.
too. Wildlife biologist Robert L. Smith, who is at West Virginia University, told reporters that descriptions and sightings all fit the sandhill crane, which is a large American crane almost as tall as a man with a 7-foot wingspan featuring circles of reddish coloring around the eyes. The bird may have wandered out of its migration route and therefore was unrecognized at first because it's not to its native region. Due to the popularity of the Batman TV series at the time, the fictional superhero Batman and his rogues gallery were prominently featured in the public eye. While the villain Killer Moth did not appear in the show, the comic book influenced both him and Batman is believed by some to have influenced the coinage of the name Mothman in the local newspaper.
Sure.
That was a loud meow from Mittens. So, following December 15th, 1967, collapse of the Silver Bridge and the death of 46 people, the incident gave rise to the legend and connected to the Mothman to a lot of sightings around the bridge collapse. So people were saying that, like, he had something to do with it, or, like, he was a bad omen in some regards. Like, almost like if you see him, like, something bad will happen.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, maybe. According to Georgian newspaper Svobodnya Gazeta, Russian UFOologists claim that Mothman sightings in Moscow foreshadowed the 1999 Russian apartment bombings.
Oh.
Which, UFOologists, what a fun time.
That next career field.
It's what we said, like the cryptozoologist.
Cryptozoology. That is my both of them.
That's my next career path. Mom and Dad, I'm taking my master's and throwing it away.
And I am applying myself.
I'm applying myself to the study.
Think about how many research skills you learned in grad school, and that's why this podcast is so successful.
That's right. This is all, it's coming full circle, everybody. You're welcome.
You are welcome for our skill sets.
I went to school for it. What do you want from me? Woohoo! The Mothman Prophecies is a major motion picture, came out in 2002, which is loosely based on the 1975 book of the same name by John Keel. In 2016, WCHS TV published a photo which was believed to be of the Mothman taken by an anonymous man while driving on Route 2 in Mason County. Science writer Sharon Ahill proposed that the photo showed a bird, maybe perhaps an owl, carrying a frog or a snake away, and wrote that there is zero reason to suspect that it is Mothman as described in legend. There are far too many reasonable explanations. So a little bit of analysis on the Mothman. Jesus. I had trouble with my words all day at work today, and now
Same.
I'm like, why don't I just stutter through this? Folklorist Jane. No, that's not their name.
Throw her in reverse. Bag it up.
I was really close. I just added in a letter. Jan Harold Brundtland notes that Mothman has been widely covered in the popular press, some claiming sightings connected with UFOs, other claims that, like, a military storage site was Mothman's home. Brundtland notes that recountings of the 66-67 Mothman reports usually state that at least 100 people saw Mothman, with many more afraid to report their sightings. But observe that written sources for such stories consisted mainly of like children's books or like sensationalized or undocumented accounts that fail to quote identifiable persons. So a lot of people were like being anonymous, saying like, I saw him, I see him. And while this story originally started in West Virginia, there's been reports of seeing the Mothman as far north as Chicago.
Yeah, I heard like one time when I was hearing about this, it was like people talking about it in Ohio and stuff, so that makes sense.
Right. So according to the University of Chicago psychologist David A. Gallo, 55 sightings of Mothman in Chicago during 2017, published on the website of self-described Fortean research Lon Strickler, are a selective sample. Gallo explains that he's not sampling random people and asking if they saw Mothman. He's just counting the number of people that voluntarily came forward to report a sighting. According to him, people are more likely to visit a paranormal-centric website like this Strickler's guy, and this might be more inclined like for people to believe.
Sure.
Right? Like the witnesses in the existence of Mothman might be a little bit more easily proved on those websites because, yeah, like what we talked about at the beginning, can you imagine if you saw something like Mothman or Bigfoot or, you know, the dog of Bray Road, the beast of Bray Road, there we go, the one we talked about not too long ago, and trying to explain that to someone who genuinely thinks you're full of it?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's such a hard undertaking, but it's also like, we do got to fact check ourselves a little bit here. So maybe someone being like, it could be a crane.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought of a crane?
Right. Well, because they're tall.
They're tall. They do have red around their eyes and things like that. So some pseudoscience adherents, such as like UFOologists, paranormal authors, cryptozoologists, claim that Mothman was actually an alien.
Ooh.
A supernatural manifestation or a previously unknown species of animal. In his 1975 book, Keel claimed that the Point Pleasant residents experienced precognitions, including premonitions of the collapse of Silver Bridge UFO sightings, visits from inhuman threatening men in black, and other phenomena.
Ooh.
So apparently the men in black are also connected to Mothman. How and why, I do not know.
They're always connected if there's alien, like,
things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Mothman is very popular in that West Virginian folklore, you know, mainly being seen in that time from like only 1966 to 1967. That's when like all of the sightings were being taken place. And it was published in that newspaper at that time titled Couples See Man-Sized Bird ... Creature ... something. Like
Weird.
That was the publish that they said. And then the national press soon picked up on the reports and helped the story get across the US. The source of the legend is believed to have originated from sightings out of like of migrations out of like the sandhill cranes or the herons, and it was introduced to a wider audience by Gray Barker in 1970, where he wrote something about it, and then obviously that John Keel with the book of the Mothman Prophecies, claiming that there are paranormal events related to that sighting. And then again, 2002, there was a film on him. So he has been really put forth into like mainstream media, where like a lot of people now know, like when they rattle off cryptids, it's usually like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, Mothman.
Yeah, it's like pretty popular.
Pretty high up there. But that's a lot of the information I have. Now you can go onto like Reddit, you can go onto YouTube, you can go onto whatever and Google like Mothman sighting stories, and there's so many out there. Like I said, a lot of recent ones, like that 2017 report, have come from Chicago.
That's interesting to think it's shifted spots or whatever.
And Chicago's like very populous.
Yeah.
So,
but sometimes I'm like, is it actually like city of Chicago, or it's like
Chicago area,
suburb, whatever? Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that's kind of the information I have. Now, what I don't understand is like the first, if you've never seen a sandhill crane, Google it. It does not look like a person.
No.
In any
It doesn't look like a person at all.
Of possibility. Like the wings, maybe, right? Like a 7-foot wingspan. That's like pretty on par for what people were saying they were seeing. But other than that,
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like, no one's talking about a large beak.
No one said beak out to, a
Mhm.
foot and a half, really skinny legs.
Right.
Like, don't know how they
And a
walk.
neck. Very skinny neck.
Very skinny neck, long beak, beady eyes.
When, like, every description of Mothman I've heard, like you said, is like human body, wings, red eyes.
Yeah. Like, never have I heard, like, somehow kind of look like a bird. And some of the pictures that, like, I've seen that, like, people are like, is this Mothman? Not skinny legs.
No.
Like, people legs.
Right.
And granted, I understand those pictures can be, like, doctored and photoshopped and, like,
Yeah.
cameras are weird, maybe, like, if it was a crane and it moved and you were taking, like, a panoramic view picture at the time, you get some weird shit.
It's very, like, specific circumstance, though.
Yeah, but to me, I'm like, that doesn't look like a crane. It doesn't look like an owl. And are we not concerned that this many cranes or herons or whatever are, like, out of migration in the Appalachian Mountains?
Right. And, like, wouldn't you see one during the day then?
You would think.
I don't know. Because, like, cranes aren't, like, nocturnal.
I mean, I think
like, they'll be
dusk.
out in, like, in, like, evening. But it's not like you would see them out during the day, is my point. Of, like,
Right.
It's not like they're going to be hiding or something or sleeping during the day. Like, you would see them out and about during the day to say, like, oh, you saw Mothman, but also we have documentation of, like, this crane being around here.
Yeah.
At that time, too.
I don't know. Mothman's one of those ones that I'm a little, like...
leery on?
I'm a little leery. Because there's a lot of woods. I'm not trying to say there isn't a lot of woods, especially in the Appalachian Mountains.
It's like our ocean conversation.
There's a lot of ocean. There's a lot of forest. But, like, for a 7-foot tall man with wings
Mm-hmm.
to just
Show up.
for a little bit and then zip out, to
Is
me,
weird.
doesn't make sense. I've also
No.
seen some reports of people saying that the Mothman's like a fallen angel,
Oh, that's scary.
which I was like,
We're
that
gonna
will haunt
ignore
me.
that.
That will haunt me in my Reformed Catholic dreams.
Literally, I was just having the conversation the other day. I'm like, I grew up too Catholic to, like, I still have, like, a irrational fear of being possessed.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, like a fallen angel was reported to be like also a possibility of Mothman. And I was like, you know what? We're not going to research that one because that gives me the scaries. And I don't want to
We don't
talk
want to
about
haunt anybody or get some bad. If it is a bad omen, we don't need that.
Go
in our
away.
lives.
Like, I don't need your help. I don't need nothing. But I don't know. I do think like it's odd.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and, like, a lot of the cryptids, when it comes to, like, the more popular ones, like Bigfoot and Mothman, is like you said, like, for them to be this popular, people had to have seen something.
Right.
And I just don't think it's a crane. Do I think it's some, like, random guy that has some, like, mutation because of the World War? I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's that, but, like, they had to have seen something that's weird.
Right. And maybe it's a deformed crane or a weird owl, but like
with big legs.
with chunky man legs. Also, Mothman's always ripped.
Right.
I'm like, Mothman's been hitting the gym.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if Mothman exists. I think Mothman, to me, again, it feels like he's too big. Like Bigfoot, like I feel like you're too big to be hidden for that long with so many people looking for you.
Yeah, that's true.
But like, also, there's a lot of woods.
A lot of woods.
A lot of woods.
You learned it here first. I don't think so.
A lot of woods out there. A lot of ocean and a lot of woods.
A lot of desert.
A lot of desert. There's stuff people we have not found.
The Earth's big.
It's huge. And like the rainforest, we find new stuff.
Yeah, I don't like
every
that
year.
either. Because like there could easily be a Mothman in the rainforest. We have no idea.
No.
Maybe he flew to West Virginia.
Mountain Mama, take me home.
Go on the road. Well, that was a good theory.
Thanks. I was like, Mothman, like we've heard of Mothman, but like I knew he was West Virginian, poor guy. And sorry for anybody.
Well, and like we said, like the amount of theories that center around the Appalachian Mountains and like weird creature, whatever, like
something has to be going on with the Appalachian Mountains. They're creepy. I don't need to hike through those anytime soon.
I agree.
I'll look at them from a distance. But yeah, I think that wraps up our first part of our episode.
Mm-hmm. And for my second part, I thought it would be fun to do another Am I the Asshole?
Oh, I'm so excited.
I've been getting a lot of them on TikTok, but I'm like, I don't want to have to like write this down.
Can I get a script of this?
Can I get a script? And so I ended up just searching some on Reddit, and I found one, and I just thought it was interesting. So, am I the asshole for reminding my parents that my stepsister ruined our family's future?
Did you say it like that?
I think so.
Because if you did, probably.
Yes. Okay. I grew up in a big blended family where we all consider ourselves siblings, and I consider my stepmom my mom.
Okay.
All of us kids are close except for one. My stepsister, Liana, which is a fake name.
Cool.
My parents think it's just because she didn't grow up with the rest of us, but that it's fine, and it's not. Yes, by the time she came to live with us, she was almost 18, but it's not because of that. It's because she cost the rest of us our futures.
What?
See, when she came to live with us, she had been, in quotations, independently homeschooled.
Huh?
Like she's teaching herself, I think.
Oh, so she's not doing school.
Right.
Got it.
She was said to be very smart.
Okay.
But testing revealed that she only had about a 9th grade education and no transferable credits.
Oh.
Neither our school or the public school were willing to place her above 9th grade. Since she was only about a month from turning 18, this would mean she would be in high school until her 21st birthday and would more likely than not have to drop out anyway. The only other option was to have her get her GED.
Okay.
They were devastated, especially because she had an offer from a family friend to get her into and through college if she did a specific program that she did have advanced education in. If she didn't graduate that year, they would question how bad it was and likely rescind the offer. The only other option was for her to get a GED, which would force the family friend to rescind the offer even if they still wanted to get to help because she could never get accepted with only a GED. So I don't know what program it was, but they wouldn't accept it. My parents worried over this until someone they knew who was the admin of another private school offered to help out. They offered to enroll her as a senior and she could spend the year catching up, provided they saw it in their hearts to give a donation, of course.
Love a good private school sometimes.
$100,000 later, she, in quotations, graduated from an accredited high school and moved on to college. My family is just normal middle class, so paying that meant that the rest of us had to take out massive student loans, and my youngest siblings even had to switch to public school. My older brother got some help before this, but there wasn't a dime for the rest of us. My parents justify it by saying that they had to do it because it was their job to give all their kids as close to an equal start to their lives as possible, and this was the only option to do that for her. My mom asked why we all have strained relationships with Liana, and it finally came out that truthfully, we resent her for the huge financial load on us and the entire family that she caused. It's been 10 years, and she's never even tried to apologize or make amends, and it's grating. Now my father says that mom has fallen into a depression because, quote, nobody loves Liana but her. And that we, quote, weren't a family despite everything she's ever done. We are a family, just not with Liana. Are we in the wrong?
There's so many layers to this. One, like, what the fuck do you mean you're letting your child do independent homeschooling?
Right.
You need to, if you're, like, I think I don't love homeschooling because I think you miss out a lot of things on like how to behave socially in a public setting
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. That being said, if you choose to do homeschooling, whatever. But you also need to do homeschooling in a way that they are still getting an education.
One, that's my first, like, and this is coming from me at like as a teacher in a public school, where if you are going to homeschool your child, and I say you are homeschooling your child, that means you are doing something to provide to them still an education, not independent homeschooling. Independent means they are taking it on themselves. You need to set up something, whether they're doing an online program or they have a tutor or you are providing the instruction. Like, someone still needs to be teaching them something. And the best case scenario, especially like even 10 years ago, was to do something with a curriculum.
Yeah, with like an online program
that counts towards credits that you can then graduate with. Otherwise, you end up getting a GED.
Right.
Which it sounds like you can't do with the program she wanted to go into.
Right. And do I think that's fair? Probably not. But that's a system. That's not something we can change or control. So I understand, like, I think it starts with the parent, whether it was mom or at that point in time lived with somebody else. Like, you did not set your child up for an equal start when you allowed them to independently homeschool and not like check in and verify that like they were getting things done and learning at the same pace as like someone would in a school. My next big thing, where I get a little pissed off at like OP, why are we shitting on public schools?
That, like, in the fact that this is where I get hung up, is like, you obviously went to a private school
your whole life.
And I feel like there's this sense that they feel entitled to money from their family towards college. And I just don't think that, like, here's where I'm at. If families have the
ability or means
to pay for their child's education, I think that is one of the best ways that you can contribute to the long-term financial success of your child, because you don't have those student loans. Like, even if it's less student loans, like, that's a great way to invest in your child's future, either through that or you're investing in them through something else, right? But that's one means. If you know that they want to go to college, that's a great way to invest in your child's future. However, then I think about the fact is, like, could you have not gone to a public school your entire life and then taken all of that money that you were dumping into private tuition into a savings account that would have then counted towards their college?
Yeah.
And then I think about like how much money they gave to this other private school for I think the parents are the assholes for like kind of bailing their kid out at the end.
To me, everybody sucks. Like, I don't know if there's a good person here, because
I feel like it's not completely Liana's fault though. Like, I wouldn't say Liana's necessarily the asshole. Like, she got dealt it. Like, I get the point that then she turned 18, but it's like she got dealt this hand growing up of like, they're letting her do this. And then she gets to the end and it's like, what am I going to do? Like, someone should have stepped in and been a parent.
Right. I don't know. I think she is probably the least asshole out of all of them.
Yeah.
That being said, sometimes parents suck and there's nothing you can do about that. You have to figure out how to do it on your own.
Oh, 100%.
Is the expectation though that like a 14-year-old does that? Probably not. It's probably not a fair, reasonable expectation to be like, at 14 years old for the next 4 years, you're going to figure out how to do homeschooling by yourself. I'm telling you, I was a good student. And at 14 years old, would I have been able to like independently learn at an appropriate rate at home?
Probably not.
No, probably
So I don't
not.
think that's the child's fault.
No. Do I think maybe she could have said like,
sorry,
hey,
within the last 10 years?
Hey, like,
probably.
I know that fucked you guys up. And I know that like, because she then got her college paid for. So she's coming out of this like scotch-free, where the kids, so that I think the parents are the real assholes here.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't love we're trying to make sure everyone had an equal start. Well, your one child got out of this debt-free and your other children did not. And so I just think it's poor planning on the parents' part. And I also think like,
the writer has to
die, babe.
And the writer at some point has to get over it. Like, I don't think that this is worth like cutting someone out of your family, saying that they're not your family. You know what I'm saying? And I get that you're not blood,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, like, you don't get to pick your family.
Right.
I don't know if I would necessarily cut someone out over this. I would be more upset with your parents than upset with her.
If you're going to cut anybody out, cut your parents out.
That's kind of where I'm at.
They're the ones who gave them $100,000.
Yeah.
To, like, basically bribe them to let her graduate high school with a 9th grade degree, basically.
Yeah.
Or 9th grade education. And another thing with that is, like, to then harbor so, like, you start off so strong by saying, really, she didn't come into the house till she was 18. Mm-hmm. That's a good start to be like, we're not all that close. Like, there's people that were 18 when I was in middle school that I'm not close with, right?
Right, and that's
like,
fair.
Start there and stay there.
Yeah.
But to then be like, well, it's all her fault because my parents made the decision by themselves to put all this money into her education sucks. And it's like, I think the parents are the big assholes here. And I think, honestly, you're kind of the asshole.
You're kind of the asshole. That's what people on Reddit agree, that you're being an asshole.
Oh, what's the top comment say?
Pretty much what we said. So the top one says, you're the asshole. I kept waiting for the point in the story where Liana did something terrible to you or your siblings to make you hate her. That point never came. Someone clearly did Liana very wrong by homeschooling her rather than sending her to a real school. And that's really sad that your parents had to stump up so much money to rectify this damage. You said she graduated and moved on to college, so clearly she didn't piss away the money your parents spent on her. I can understand how it feels unfair that this money was spent on her and you didn't get it, but realistically, all that it did was get her to the same place that you got without it. That is a high school diploma. They didn't pay for her college. Finally, it doesn't sound like your future has been destroyed because you went to college too. And if you really had, quote, massive loans, then your small share of that $100,000 would have barely made a dent. Your resentment dripped from your post, and it's entirely misplaced. Grow up.
Ooh, did OP ever comment on any of these?
No.
I bet not. If I got my ass chewed like that, I'd also...
And pretty much everyone's like, if you would have had like 4 more kids, it would have been less than like $25,000 each. Like,
you're not getting through school with that.
No.
Like, I went to a public education, public university, and my classes with scholarships, with financial aid, I was spending close to like, $25,000, $30,000
a year.
A year.
Yeah.
And that's with being piss poor. Also, I think there's that big entitlement of my parents had no means to pay for any of my college.
Right.
And yours were the exact same way. So it's this really unnecessary entitlement of, well, mommy and daddy should pay for me. Too.
Right. And again, if you're upset about it because they, like, I can understand the disappointment of, like, if your parents are promising you this money towards college and then you feel like that was ripped away because of this, like, situation. Like, I understand holding... Not that I think you should resent your parents, but, like, if anything, I would understand holding resentment against them.
Yeah.
But not her.
Yeah, I don't think she necessarily did anything.
And again, it's 10 years ago. Get over it. You can be butthurt about it, but you don't, like, say someone's not family over it.
Also, what's the likelihood you've ever talked to her about it?
Right.
She's never even tried to apologize. You ever tell her you were upset about it?
Right.
She's not a fucking mind reader. None of us are.
That's kind of where I'm at least.
Yeah. So, yeah, at the end of the day, you suck. I think the parents are the biggest assholes in this story. And I think they did a real disservice to all of their children. Like, I think when you give one child $100,000, it's not that child's fault, but you are really pitting your children against each other.
But then sometimes I almost wonder, like, how much did they spend on private school already for these other kids? Like, was it close to $100,000 and they didn't pay for her? So now this is like even Stevens. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, public school is fine.
Yeah.
I got a great public school education. Not every public school is great.
Not every public school is created equal by any means. So I can understand specifically if you're in like different like inner city schools where they don't like open enrollment isn't as easy to get into a different public school. So then because I feel like if you're sending your kid to a private school, like you're driving them, right? And so you could drive them to open enroll. But if you're in like an inner city, it's a lot harder to open enroll, things like that. I understand the want of like sending your kids to private school. But again, you're not entitled to anything.
No.
That's kind of, but that's like I feel like that's my life. Like you are not entitled to anything in this world.
No.
Besides like your parents like providing basic necessities and them giving you any sort of education, public school or private school is providing to your needs.
Yeah. You deserve to have your needs met, right? Like safety and food and like those things you're entitled to. You know what you're not entitled to? Comfort.
Well, and like them, especially if it's like they're like providing you money towards things that you are now an adult. Like you are an adult making a decision if you want to go to college or not. Now, do we live in a society where like most things you need some sort of degree for? Yes, but you are also an adult.
You can make that decision or not. Like maybe instead of going to a 4-year right away, you go to a 2-year to make it a little bit more.
Go into the military. They'll pay for part of it.
Go to the military.
And this is coming from 2 women that didn't, but we also paid our way through. So,
yeah.
Like there's your balance.
And to be fair, like I worked very hard.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of school with no debt. Like I and that's not possible for everybody. Right. Like, and that didn't necessarily have anything all to do with like what I did for work. But in high school, I worked 3 jobs, and from the time I was 14 till the time I was 18.
Right.
And I worked damn near full time the entire time I was in college. That being said, that doesn't work for everybody. Luckily for me, I was able to like keep up on my schoolwork and keep up on my grades with that. But that's not for everybody. And school is fucking expensive. And my parents are poor. Mm-hmm. So guess what? FAFSA came through.
That's one benefit you got too.
FAFSA made college a little bit cheaper for me, as well as like scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times my mom said, if it's an hour, you're never going to get paid $500 an hour. Mm-hmm. She's like, if it takes you an hour to write an essay, mm-hmm. even if it takes you 3 hours and the scholarship's like $1,000.
Mm-hmm. She's Think about how much money you're making off of that.
She's like, you are never going to work a job that you are making $333 an hour. And
mm-hmm.
I was like, why do you shit on me? What did I do? But yeah. So that's what I got to say. Scholarships, baby.
No kidding. That's what paid for most of mine too.
Yeah. Ugh. Do I need to go back? No. Will I? Maybe. Not for a while though.
I'm mid-grad school. I don't think you could pay me any amount of money to go back.
Honestly, if I could go back today, I'd go to trade.
No, I wouldn't do a trade.
Absolutely.
I don't have the skill set for that.
I don't either. That's why I go to school.
I don't know if I'd pass.
This is probably a little bit of a naive belief, but I am under the impression that you can learn anything. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying you're going to do it in a reasonable amount of time. I'm not saying you're going to do it with the money you have. But I think if you have enough time, patience, energy, money to do it, you can learn anything.
Well, I agree with you. Can you afford to go back to a trade school and learn in enough time that you don't fail out? Probably not. That's where I'm at. It's like, I could learn how to do electrical wiring. Is it going to be to code? No. Am I going to pass my electrician exam? No, not unless I'm doing it for the next decade, and then I should have just paid to go back and get my doctorate.
I'm just going to do one class at a time because that's probably all I'm capable for.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in this week, guys. We went from Mothman to education. The Appalachian Mountains.
If you like what you hear, definitely go find us on our socials at IDon'tThinkSo_EH or YouTube at IDTS Conspiracies. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye.